How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. I had a day off today, so I'm feeling kind of
Refreshed.
relatively, relaxed or stressed about the fact that now tomorrow is like the new Monday. But
Oh,
I
don't
think
think
mostly
about
relaxed.
tomorrow.
Yeah,
You're getting the Sunday blues.
yeah, a little bit. Yeah, the sort of like slightly delayed Sunday blues. But like, have you guys ever done that sort of thing where you just take a day off just for the sake of taking a day off? It's quite a new thing to me. It's lovely.
Yeah, it's nice. I usually do it when I've got like loads of admin though, like life admin, and then it's not as lovely because you end up doing.
It feels like a wasted day off if you're having to do
Yeah.
life admin, I feel.
Exactly. But then I'm not very good at taking it off just to take it off.
I've only done one day off this year to do a day
What?
because it's been very much a year.
I thought you meant you'd only taken off one day all year, just like
No.
News about that grind.
Yeah, I'm all
Gotta
about that
hustle.
grind. Gotta make that money. You get paid even if you're on leave. What? No, I've only taken like one day off, as in like just for a day off rather than like specifically going abroad or going to visit someone or stuff like that, because it's been very much a case of making up for lost pandemic time, so just doing as many things as possible. But then you do take a day off and you have like a longer weekend and you're like, oh, that was really nice. I wish all weekends were like 3 days long.
Oh, I'd back it. The 4-day week. It does feel sort of semi-plausible within our lifetimes. Like I already know of like Anna, like my mate Anna has, who I've been told off for calling Hannah's mate Anna. So I'm like I'm gonna start doing. It's just what I refer to as her as with my family and that. But Anna has. It's not quite a 4-day week, but it's like every other week is a 4-day week.
Oh,
which
wow.
is pretty great, and that's just like part of the standard. Like, as far as I'm aware, that's like everything else just continues as normal. It's like a normal contract and everything.
What field is she in?
Charity work. She works for Stonewall. She's like the sort of parliamentary person for Stonewall. Sort of like, trying to stop the country from becoming homophobic, transphobic, and all that jazz.
Fighting the good fight.
All the nasty stuff. Just making sure it's not as nasty.
You probably need the extra time off for that, just to like find your
decompress.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, fully. Yeah.
I actually don't like the 4-day work week though. Sorry, controversial.
Hot take.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's really common in the Netherlands because if you get a 36-hour contract, a lot of companies, you can just work whatever 36 hours you like. So a lot of people just do it Monday to Thursday in 9 hours and it's fine, it's done. But I actually don't like it because whenever I've done it, I end up absolutely cramming 5 days work into 4 days. So you work like really, really late and then you have no social life the Monday to Thursday in the evenings. So I don't know. I'm not completely sold on it yet. I think it's better to just, I really hope no one ever listens to this or you cut it out, Louis, because I was about to say it's easy to just like have a 5-day week and then not do very much on a Friday.
I'll be sending that audio clip straight to your manager.
I'm pretty sure we all do it. Like he goes for an Appuccino as my manager, so we're good. He's fine. He goes for, which is why he has like a I don't know why it's called an Appuccino because it doesn't make any sense, but he has an espresso and then he goes for a nap so that when he wakes up,
how does that work?
Well, because then the caffeine kicks in while he's napping. Yeah.
What?
So then he wakes up like.
I feel you're just asking for like a mid-sleep heart attack doing that. Something like that. I don't know. It just feels. No.
Your body can't take caffeine while it's asleep.
No, I feel like I can't take caffeine. I feel like as soon as I've drunk a coffee, I'm just like, that's hitting. That's hitting the spot.
Yeah. Part of me just feel like I'd be similar. Yeah. Oh, either that or like you wake up with like a mild panic attack.
That would so be me. Where the fuck am I? What have I got to do? Like, what's going on?
I don't know. Yeah, coffee could be intense. It could be a lot sometimes.
That's true. And the worst bit is we work for a tea company, so I don't even know what he's doing drinking coffee anyway.
Completely disloyal.
It really is though. If you get caught having a coffee at work, it's like you really get judged. Or if you say the words like "we can just grab a coffee," you immediately have to correct yourself and go, "or a tea."
You have to. If you do go for a tea, do you have to drink like your specific brands?
Well, that's the only one we have available at the office, so yeah.
Yeah, but like if you went out, like if you're like, oh, we'll go, you know, grab some lunch together, grab
it's really
a
frowned upon
tea.
if you get a competitor. Like, because also here they don't tell you, and it's iced tea. Like, it doesn't say on the menus necessarily like Lipton iced tea or Fuse iced tea, which is a competitor. So if I just ask for an iced tea, it's really like 50-50 whether I get like our brand or a competitor, and so you can't win. Like, you either don't get tea and then you're an idiot, or you get tea and then you have a chance that you're going to get the competitor and everyone's going to be like, oh, what are you doing? So
but then surely you can be like, I'm just doing some market research, you know, seeing
that's what I always say. I always play the card of like, yeah, I'm trying to see what it tastes like, what we can do better, how we can improve, keeping an open mind.
And you're like, wow, this is really good. They really know what.
Yeah, well, you just really dramatically spit it out. That's the best play. Just write on to someone. Oh, sorry. I just realised it was Fuse. I'm so sorry. Like,
just on the spitting things out thing. Now I just want a world in which lots of companies are hiring lots of people to publicly eat or drink or just generally consume their rivals' products, and then like have huge displays of rejection. You know, so just across the country, it becomes a regular occurrence to see people going. And it's just all these different players.
People just strolling into McDonald's, buying a burger and then immediately throwing it up into a bin. Yeah,
it just become like a regular sight, and you become sort of desensitized to it. But it'd be this whole like, because now everybody's doing it. If you're not doing it, you're at a like commercial disadvantage. So you just have to do it, and so it becomes like.
I'm gonna pitch that. That's going to be our next ad campaign.
All public spaces are going to be full of people retching and spit taking, and it's going to ruin it for everybody. I like to imagine it going even further. Like people are going to like world monuments and being like, "Oh my god, it's such an eyesore. It's so fucking disgusting. It should be dubbed." Yeah, that's true. There are plenty of people. It's just not competitive. Yeah, but it's like people. It's like clearly some like Irish people have come and they looked at like Big Ben and like, "Oh, it's disgusting." And then you get people
amazing.
Like...
Yeah. It becomes a part of geopolitics. There's now just people walking around different countries, loudly tutting about the very vibe of this other country. Like, oh no,
specifically getting photos with the monuments not in the background, like anything but
just standing in front of the Eiffel Tower so that you block the view. Yeah.
Blocking it out as much as possible.
Anyway, there's no real end point to that thought, but I'm glad I said it anyway.
It's a good thought to have, yeah.
Yeah, I went out. So I took this as like my kind of random day because I've basically got leave to use up. But I feel very glad I've done it. I went out to Ronan Marshes, did a bit of bird watching. Didn't see all that much, but it's still just kind of nice. Like also nice, just satisfying that like I was saying to Hannah before. It's like sort of scratching that itch of like, do you ever like see just some trees somewhere? Like say you're passing somewhere on a train and you just see a bunch of trees and you're like, I want to see those trees.
Yes, no, I totally know what you mean. Yeah.
Or a mountain. It's like,
I want to go up there.
It's like the real world version of if you're in like a Dead Redemption and you're like, I just want to go up that mountain because it's there. And I now hate myself for comparing the real world to an online world as if like the online one came first. You know the more universal experience, you know, the one in the online world. But yeah, anyway, so I was kind of scratching that itch a bit because I'd seen this place on the train and just thought it looked kind of cool. So it just felt like a little adventure. I think I spent more time traveling to get there and back than I did actually there, but still worth it. It was a lot of fun. I
totally rate that as an experience, to be fair. And like just to touch on the I did it because it's there. That's my dad's whole philosophy about climbing mountains. It's like he got into mountaineering for two reasons. One being that he was scared of heights and wanted to address that fear. And the second being like, oh, well, why would you go up that mountain? Well, because it's there. Why would you not go up it?
That's the worst argument ever, though. Because I don't want to, like, die.
I've definitely done the same thing as you, Ronan, where I've, like, been on a train and I've looked out the train window and I've seen, like, a little forest or a village or something. And I'm like, oh, it'd be quite interesting to just go and have a gander there, you know? Go and have a wander, see what's there.
There is something very satisfying about it.
You said it, though, like, it was a place everyone knew, and I was sat here like, I have no idea where that is or what that is. So I'm glad you gave the context of the train journey. Where is it? What is it?
It's like, yeah, I don't think it's particularly notable, to be honest. Although it's like only one of like a few nature reserves in London, I guess. I wanted to go to like a nature reserve because like I just like like birding and that. But I haven't really done very much in London because it's London.
You're not been looking at the parakeets.
I mean, I still get excited about the parakeets regularly, but after a while, you yearn for something more, you know?
Yeah, something a bit more exotic.
Yeah, more exotic than parakeets, exactly. So I just kind of picked this one partly because I had seen it on the train. At least I think I'd seen it on the train, although I'm not sure in what context. I think I'd seen like similar areas and thought that it was this, but I think actually the places that I thought I'd seen on the train are like the other side of the river. So I don't think I have actually seen this place on the train.
Oh, right. Well, that's still just somewhere else to adventure at some point.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, there's a lot of like kind of nondescript marshlands as you get further east of London along the Thames, and this is one of those areas of nondescript marshlands. I'm not really selling it at the moment, but
it just sounds like Kent, to be honest. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, it's not just the whole of Kent.
Just that nondescript area, kind of southeast of the river. Like no one really knows what's there.
Yeah, the whole of East Anglia as well. Actually, it's just kind of like huge expanses of flat nothingness. I like East Anglia as well. I don't want to completely slag it off. I feel like we've made enough enemies for the podcast. But
we're going to work our way through each region of the UK and just insult it one by one.
Yeah.
Especially because like 80% of our listeners are UK based. So we just want to alienate them all as quickly as possible, really. And then we'll turn our sites abroad if the percentages switch.
Yeah, do you think I'm your furthest away listener?
It's between you and whenever... Well, it's whenever Joe occasionally listens, and whichever country he's in.
He's not consistently far away. Do you know what I mean?
He's not a resident of. Well, we have got some listeners in like Japan, so I guess. Well, it's like less than a percentage. So I think one Japanese person once listened.
Clicked it once.
So I'd say you're probably the furthest away consistent.
Yeah, I was really hoping you'd just say yes and not actually analyze it and check, Louis.
Well, you know, keeping an eye on these stats. You know, I'm all about my demographics.
Because you're going to get a load of shit if you lie on it later on. You're going to get loads of tweets and whatever else.
Yeah, we do get hounded by our fans for being inconsistent. We have actually hit 300 listens, so that's another milestone.
That was just me last week, stressing out about what I was going to say.
Yeah, is it 300 listens or 300 listeners? Like what are we talking? What's
total listens?
Edit out that question. It's fine.
Don't show us up, Ronan.
I know I got excited for a second there, but I suspected it might be.
We got a Spotify Wrapped for the podcast, which was quite interesting, to be fair.
Ooh,
that was interesting. I feel like that made us seem more impressive than we actually must be.
Yeah, it's like you've released this many minutes of content, which is more than like 87% of people in your genre. And I'm like, that must mean that our genre is just full of dead podcasts. Yeah, because the podcast is underneath music rather than like entertainment or anything like that. So like the tag it sits under his music, but presumably 80% of music podcasts release 3 episodes, and then presumably 80% of all podcasts release like 2 episodes and then die. So then they just kind of fill up the statistics at the bottom.
Is it more content, like more minutes per episode, or more episodes?
Minutes.
So I could literally just record The Sound of Nothing next week, put it up, and then it would beat you really quick.
If you did 8 hours of nothing each week,
I'm going to do it now just to one up you, just the power play. Oh, I can't listen to the other podcast though, guys. When you were talking about London, there was so much I wanted to comment on, and I was texting Louis like, London. And then last week with Sophie, what was it? I really wanted to talk to you about, Louis. Oh, the TikTok stuff and the Taylor Swift stuff. Oh, it was triggering. It was really triggering because I want to join in and I can't.
Oops, I did it again or whatever. Is that what
I mean, we're going to pretend you didn't just do a Britney Spears on Taylor Swift mix-up.
What was the thing? I can't really remember. Like,
I'm the problem.
It's me. Yeah, that was it.
Guys,
that's similar enough.
You're doing a podcast about music, and you don't know that song by the biggest artist in the entire universe. I mean, get with it.
More of something else entirely.
shall we go into discussing
We
the
have
album?
to.
Yes.
You've made me actually like hate the album nearly. No, you haven't. But like, I've overthought it too much, and so I'm like, this
You've
has
dissected
genuinely
the
kept me up
frog.
at night. So we're doing this, and
Oh,
I
wow.
feel like it's an exam. I hate it. This has been awful. So thank you, Louis. Love you.
You messaged me last night going, I really enjoyed it.
No,
Like, digging into
I
it.
kind of did. And then I read it this morning, and I was like, oh my god.
You've done a paper on it. It's just your own thoughts and feelings.
Yes, Lou, but I'm
It's not a
big
right and wrong
overthinker.
answer.
Like, how can I not redo it 7 times? Like, obviously. And also, I don't know if Ronan heard about this, but the stress it took to even get to picking an album, let alone
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah.
you're getting flashbacks.
I
Louis.
mentioned it on the last recording. I was like, yeah, the next guest is a bit indecisive about what they want to do. And that's because Ellie changed her
I was
mind
about to
about
say-
15 times.
I actually didn't get to the very, very end of the last episode. So did you actually get to say what it was, or had I not given it to you in time?
No, you'd not
Okay.
told me by then.
Sorry.
It
No,
had
it's a
not been
mystery.
decided. At that point,
really
it was still
sorry.
up in the air.
Yeah, yeah.
Help build the suspense. That's it's all part of the marketing.
Lovely
play.
spin. You should work in marketing.
Yeah.
That was a great spin.
Yeah.
So which album did you pick in the end?
This is where I say the wrong one and completely curveball you. Surprise! No, I picked "Surrender" by Maggie Rogers.
I do think by the sounds of it, you've won the prize for most preparation of a guest. So I wouldn't worry that much. I don't think I don't think people normally come to.
Yeah,
this
some
very
people just
much.
bumble in like, yeah, I just I had a listen this morning and it was all right.
Was that Tom?
Cool. I'm not going to name any names.
Tom.
We're not naming and shaming.
No, yeah, thanks. I'll take any prize. You've appealed to my competitive side now, so yeah, I'll take the prize. Basically, I knew well, Louis, can I tell the long story?
You can take, of course you
that's
can.
all about the stories with
The long
tangents
story.
and whatever else.
I think tangent must be your favorite word, by the way, on this podcast. Every time I listen,
Oh,
you
yeah.
say
It
tangent
is.
like 12 times.
It's what it's built
Yeah, I
around.
think it should become a drinking podcast.
when Louis came to me with like the sort of idea of the podcast, that was like very early on what we talked about, just embracing the complete and utter chaos of normal conversation. In terms of specifically tangents, I think from the very beginning came up a lot as a word. So it
We
does
just
not
knew
apply.
that we wouldn't be able to hold a conversation about anything without fracturing off, and that's held very, very true, as is happening right now.
And if it is, sorry, just to pick up on the drinking drinking game. That's the phrase I'm looking for that you just mentioned. If at any point in the future somebody decides to do that, we've just really screwed them. I'm just going to say
they're gonna be
tangent again,
wasted.
just to really
Tangent. Call ambulance.
Amazing.
Tangent. Okay, long story then. That's what we decided. We can do the tangents. Okay, so actually, Louis, you started this in Paris. So this has been a nearly 6-month ordeal for me now. So we were in Paris with my sister, and Louis said, oh, I'm starting this podcast, or you had started it by then maybe, and you should come on. What would your favorite album be? And my sister, who was there, has very similar music taste to me. And I think at the time we both said Olivia Rodrigo, because we'd literally 2 days ago been to see Olivia Rodrigo. And then as we were talking about it, we were like, okay, no, she has like 5 songs and that album's 45 minutes long. So then that kicked it off. And then since then, I've been to lots of concerts, and every time I've been to a concert, I'm like, I'm going to do their album. I'm going to do that. It's that one. That's the one I'm going to talk about. And then I changed my mind again. And then I was super, super ready. I was like, I'm going to do either Darwin D's or Billy Joel, because I was seeing both of them, and they both were amazing live, but also very different people. So one's very small and one's very big, so it's polar opposites. And I was like, I've narrowed it down to these two. These are the two I'm going to do. And then I looked at the page on Spotify and I was like, these guys haven't done any female artists. I've got to do a female artist. I can't come on and not acknowledge that they haven't. And I know you have done since that happened. So well done. Congratulations. Like one female artist that
Thank you.
now well done.
Just pat ourselves on the back.
Feminists
Really
at
well.
heart.
Exactly. So then I was like, well, now I've got to do a woman. And then then it was very obviously going to be Maggie Rogers, maybe Taylor Swift, but then I was never that sold on Taylor because even though I'm a massive fan, she's got too much good music. Like you could do your own podcast just on that. You can't really condense it to one album and one podcast. So that was how I got to Maggie. And then even when I got to Maggie, I was like, but which album? She has 3, so it wasn't too hard. It was helping me out there. But the first one was great. The second one we don't talk about, and the third one just came out. It was conflicting between, do I do the one that's just come out because I'm about to go see her live again with that album, or the first one? And then the concert got cancelled. So then I was like, well, now I hate her and I hate the last album because I haven't been able to see her live and I'm going to have to wait till June. So I'll go to the first album. Went to the first album, told Louis, I'm doing the first album. It's happening. Don't let me change my mind.
You told me to lock it in, and I was like, yeah, I'll message Ronan. And then I didn't because I knew it was going to change again.
Because you know me too well after like 9 years or whatever. And I was like, yep, lock it in, first album. Put the first album on just to like refresh myself, knowing I love this album, and was like, fuck, the new album's so much better. Because I think the first album I had a lot, that's how I fell in love with her, and they're the songs that I fell in love to.
This is Heard It in a Past Life,
Heard It in a Past Life.
That's her first one. Yeah.
It's just that's the album that made me fall in love with her. But then I kind of also think the new album is just objectively better because she's gotten better as an artist and she's a bit more like, well, she's just better practice now. So it's literally a better album. And also, if I was going to make you guys listen to it, then I may as well make you listen to the one that you're probably more likely to like. So yeah, I think I have just as much to say about both of them, but it was not an easy decision.
To be fair, we always like end up, or not always, but like in situations like this, it's very easy to end up bringing in other albums anyway. So do bring that into the discussion as much, or is this?
You've thrown me now.
I really want to know about the album that we don't talk about. What's the reason we don't talk about it? What's up with the second one? Is it just not all that?
Oof. You see, this is like trying to pick a favourite child, and now you've made me talk about the child that's quite obviously the least favourite, but no one talks about that. Bitch, cough, cough is always the middle child. Come on, sorry, Anna. That's my sister.
I'm the middle child, so I take personal offence.
So sorry, but it's true. The album is basically all acoustic, I think. As much as I love her voice, she has an amazing voice. I think an acoustic album is just not what people were expecting when she released another album. And I think she did mention that it was going to be acoustic, but like there's so many different bits to her music that make you want to dance, and when you're listening to an acoustic version it becomes very, very samey, and so all the songs sound really like whaley and the same. And I'm so sorry, Maggie, because I know you listen to this podcast regularly.
She's actually our biggest fan. She's actually our furthest away listener.
Okay, that's fine. I can lose her, but only her. Yeah, so I mean, it's good. It is good, and I do actually regularly listen to songs from it. There's just maybe only 2 songs that I listen to from that album, and I prefer to think that she only has the other 2 because then she's like perfect, you know. Then she's only got good music. So
yeah,
I mean, based on that description, I get it because she sort of excels at the production flourishes, I guess, if you can call it that. Like that seems like a really core part of it.
Yeah. Exactly.
And in fact, like I think I first heard about Maggie Rogers. Was it Maggie Rogers that there's like a video of her with Pharrell or something?
Yes, I was just about to bring that up.
Like,
exactly.
Yeah, and that was like, oh, so it's her on the production as well, is it? Presumably, if she was showing that song.
Yeah, it is.
I actually have no more to say on that. That was just a vague memory. But I'm glad to have that confirmed.
That was she was at NYU, and that was her last year, I think. And every year they get on her course. They get in. I mean, I wasn't there. I'm talking like I was there, but I wasn't. But they get in so like a big music person to come in, and he was the person that they brought in that year. And yeah, it brought him to tears. Actually, he cried. I've watched that video far too many times.
I didn't know he could cry.
Oh, Louis! Ouch! Why are you going on?
No, he's just so happy all the time.
Oh,
got a whole song about it and everything.
Yeah, and then that was kind of demonstrating all her production magic. And so that second album was just like, oh, this is now literally just your lyrics and your voice. And she had a few guests on it and stuff. I mean, it is nice, but I think it just wasn't good for a second album. Like, everybody's anticipating amazing stuff because you've given them great first stuff, and then you've thrown what is basically like this is mean, but like some voice recordings, like on a thing, and just giving that out. Yeah,
it's interesting because I don't think I gave her a little Google, and I don't think it appears on like her Wikipedia discography as an album. I think it just appears there as like a, oh, and she also did this.
Exactly.
So maybe like everyone's of the same kind of mentality that it's
we just
like
don't talk about it.
this is because everyone calls Surrender her like sophomore, which is the second album, right? So, and that's saying like, a lot of the reviews seem to be like, oh, and it's a really strong outing for her second ever album and stuff. So when you were like, there's 3, I was like, wait, what? Which one have I missed?
We're doing the one you missed, Louis. That's the one we're going to talk about today. No, yeah. I think maybe it was just a bit of experimenting, or maybe she just wanted to release it because it was something different. But no, we don't talk about it.
I mean, it was released in 2020. So maybe it was like I'll push something out to stay relevant while none of us can leave the house.
Yeah, she probably just couldn't do as much production and cool stuff like that because of the pandemic anyway. So yeah, maybe it was that. I don't really know. It's probably on her Instagram, but
was Surrender? Do you know if Surrender was like written in the pandemic then, or like outside of it, or anything like that? Do you know any like the story behind it?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was a bit of both because there's some parts where she's definitely talking about things that I think that makes sense for the pandemic and lockdown. But there's also other bits where she's talking about like coming out again and like being in the world again. So I think that's it was probably towards the end of the pandemic, if there was an end. I don't know if it was an official end, but you know what I mean? Like
that kind of bit like when the lockdowns have ceased and you're kind of flourishing and rushing out to socialize and stuff like that. You mentioned there, like when you were saying, just going back to kind of the start when you talking about the process of how difficult it was choosing an album and stuff, and then you're like, oh, when I realized that you guys hadn't got a female artist yet, and I knew I had to do a female artist, and then you're like, it was definitely Maggie. What makes it definitely Maggie? Like, what is it about Maggie Rogers?
I think she's just a nice combination of all the female artists I listen to. She definitely, I think Sophie talked about this last time, but she definitely takes influences from like Florence and all the other big female artists, and you can see that in not just her music but also how she performs. That's nice. So I think she's just like a nice middle ground between everything, but also she's just my all-time favorite. Like she's just consistently good apart from that one album. So like I know when she releases stuff I'm gonna love it and it's gonna dominate my Spotify. And I knew, for example, when you asked me the other day like what's your Spotify Wrapped gonna be, I knew it was gonna be Maggie at the top. Like even all the songs, I think 4 out of the 5 top songs were hers as well. And you just know, I don't know, I just know I'm gonna love everything she does.
So when this one dropped, when Surrender dropped, did you listen to it and you're like, oh, like did it take you off guard, or were you immediately like, I'm in love immediately? Or was it like
love, Louis? I was just completely and utterly in love. I had to take a day off work just to process. It was really, really good. I think also though, because of the very first album, you kind of know she has potential for better because she was still at uni then. Like she was literally a student.
Oh, blind.
So you just know that's never going to be her best work. So it's kind of that nice thing where you catch someone so early that you know their best is yet to come. And so every album is just getting closer and closer to that really, really great album. So exceeded expectations as well. There were definitely some songs that grew on me that the first time I was like, these are good, but they're not great. And now I'm like, they're great. Every song is great. There is only one song on the album, Horses, that I just that isn't great. It's good, it's just not great. And every other song is great.
Do you remember which, I know like we usually do like favorite songs at the end and we still can come back to that. I'm just curious which ones were growers rather than like immediate. If you remember off the top of your head.
I actually wouldn't say it is one of my favorites, but it was a grower. That sounds really bad. Grower does not sound good.
You used it. I'm just continuing your language.
Songs that grew on me were.
Yeah, that's fair.
It was.
I was nearly like, which ones were growers and which ones were showers, and I was like, I won't compete the full
You've gone from dad jokes to like teenage boy jokes now.
It's a thin line.
It is a thin line, yeah. Easily crossed.
True. Anywhere With You was definitely one that grew on me, and I think Honey, and also Begging for Rain. And Begging for Rain wasn't just like it grew on me and then became like a favorite because it's quite slow and it always takes me a bit longer to get into the slow ones. Then when I actually listen to it, I think that's the problem, that first time you listen to an album, you're trying to like speed through as quickly as you can to find all your favorite songs, especially me, because my sister will listen to it before me and I know she's going to listen to it like the second it comes out. So when Taylor's album came out, it was like 5 a.m. in the UK and she stayed up just to wait for it. Well, yeah, literally stayed up or put her alarm on to get up for it.
Wow.
And so I know she's going to hear it first, and what we try and do is like send each other the the best songs that we like and then compare and stuff like that. And so I knew she was waiting on me for my favorite songs from this album. So I like skimmed through it super quickly, was trying to work out which ones are my favorite, instantly knew like all the quick ones, all the fast, upbeat, cool ones are my favorite. And then I kind of missed out on the slow ones. So that one, when I eventually had some time, I think I was in the shower or something, and I was actually like listening to the lyrics. I was like, fuck, this one's a good one too. There's another one.
I had a really nice kind of staring out the train window kind of moment with that song earlier.
Yeah.
It feels
you
kind of
just like sent me into a memory though, because the first time I actually listened to this whole album back to back was on a train down to Cornwall, and I had 4 hours, and I was like, this is perfect for Surrender, because I'd been I kind of didn't want to just listen to it the second it came out, even though I had the pressure of my sister. I wanted like some good headspace for it, because I've been waiting for it for so long, and I knew I was going to love it. Yeah, it was on the train. Maybe we had the same moment on the train, just with a different song.
It felt very suitable for, so that's what I was doing on my journey out this morning, and it felt very fitting, especially some of those slower ones actually. I think there's that, and is it like My Friend, or the one that's got friend in the title? I think that I've got a friend. And they're sort of back to back, I think, but they just sort of it was that little stretch worked very well together, and it was as I was kind of coming out of sort of more central London, I guess, and you get like, you know, the buildings becoming sparser and stuff, and I just felt very I mean, it is its own thing, and it's staring out the train / car window music. It's a vibe that I think everybody gets as soon as you say it.
Feeling like a main character in a movie.
yeah, very much so. And it's either a happy or sad moment.
Yeah,
it can be either. It's like it's those sort of bittersweet moments normally, I think, like in a movie. Your heart's either just been broken or it's just been built back together again.
Yeah. It's just like a contemplative state. Yeah. Just deep.
I've had 2 ups where I've had to get on a train immediately afterwards and cried the entire train journey, and I think both of them were with it's fine, it was a long time ago, but I actually look back on them fondly, because I feel like when you're on a train and you've got music on and you're looking out the window, you can really tap into the feelings. Like you can just let it go, and then you get home and you just forget you have feelings. Yeah, maybe they should start like a therapy thing, like a train that's purely for people to just go on and feel
just full of people crying and head against the window seats only, and
this definitely,
everyone's just like breathing on the glass and drawing in the
This also feels though like it would have been the subject matter of one of those teen dystopian fictions in like the early 2010s.
We're all forced to get on this train.
It's the near future, and there's this train where something's not quite right, and it's entirely populated by teenagers, depressed teenagers. I mean, it's perfect.
With no
feeling. If only we could go back in time to the early 2010s, that would have at least got like 1 or 2 films and then a failed sequel. Definitely.
But we used to have it when we were teenagers, Louis. Do you remember with the train thing? We used to say like, I used to say, I don't know if maybe I just forced it on you, but I used to say like, I'm in a train mood. Like I'm feeling in a train mood. And it's where like, I want to get all my feelings out, but I also kind of want to get away from where I currently am. Yeah. Because it's also the nice thing of like moving somewhere different.
Leaving like the baggage and stuff behind, right? Yeah, and like you say, you can just get on a train, put some music on, head against the window.
Maybe your next guest should be that guy that does the TikToks about the trains. What's his name?
Oh my god, what is his name?
Francis Bourgeois.
That's the one, yeah.
I now need.
Yeah, I'll just DM him.
I need a video of him on a train, just looking wistfully into the middle distance.
Sadly out the window, but it's the GoPro. It's the fish eye lens.
And the reason he's sad is because he can't see the outside of the train. He can only see the inside.
Oh, Christ.
He's like, I'm so close yet so far. Poor guy.
There is. Oh, sorry. We're way on a tangent. You can choose to edit as much as you want out of this.
Keep going. It's all right.
But there is something quite. I'm now thinking there's something quite interesting about this phenomenon that, like, you know, like everybody knows the whole staring out the train window or car window kind of moment. But now I'm wondering, like, whether that was always the case. And like, I can think of at least 2 reasons why it might not have been. One is that we've just got earphones now, like, and that allows you to have this very personal kind of moment. But two,
just imagining someone with a boombox listening to a really overly dramatic, melancholic song.
So like some kind of jungle tune just blasting out on the boombox, but looking really sad
while they're crying.
No, but like the other thing is that like I think it has kind of been cemented a bit in like it feels like a kind of like noughties cinema sort of fixture somehow. I don't know why I think that, but it just feels like it's been cemented in media so that now like for us growing up, we have that moment, we explicitly have that moment thinking about it as if it were a movie because we've seen it so often in movies. You know what I mean? Like, so it feels
That's
quite
dark. We've been conditioned to feel things on trains. Maybe trains have been sponsoring Hollywood for like years, and we just have no
Big train.
National Rail.
We've uncovered it. It's the new scoop. We're getting it all this episode. This is it's amazing.
I think there is a really interesting thing about that though, talking about like how many of the things that we do in like life now have been purely inspired by cinema and didn't exist beforehand. Like dramatically smoking a cigarette in the rain while steamily looking across the city skylight or whatever. Like all these like very like iconic shots. I know that's like a really specific one, but you know what I mean? Like, or like lying awake at night and checking the digital alarm clock to see. There's like all these moments that are really kind of like very much kind of theatrical and like cinematography, you know, directed. And like you picture it in your head the way you've seen it a million times in all these movies.
Slightly turning into the Matrix here, Louis.
It's just interesting how it's a feedback loop, isn't it? It's life imitates art and art imitates life.
It is a bit. I do kind of wonder whether it's like, is it like a uniquely modern phenomenon, i.e. like a product of like cinema or TV or whatever, or is it just something that is like, have we always had the capacity to view ourselves as if we're in a story? You know, even if it was just like, I don't know, like this is me doing that cool thing that like Uncle Joe told around the campfire or whatever. Like I'm not really sure. I'm trying to imagine what like society.
I'm gonna really moodily eat this can of beans at the campfire the same way that Uncle Joe used to do it. I think that's probably what it used to be based on. You'd kind of have like these like figures in your life that you'd look up to and admire, or like think were like cool or impressive. You'd try and imitate those the same way that like, you know, all the great rulers at some point wanted to imitate Alexander the Great because they just thought he was the coolest dude. And now we just have more kind of visual representations that are easier to get in touch with. So it used to be like your really cool cousin was a really badass rancher, and you were like, yeah, that's what I want to imitate. And now we've got more examples, so we can actually look and be like, oh, Maggie Rogers, she looks so cool in that jacket. That's what I'm going to try and pull off.
I have no idea how we got back there, but that's wonderfully done.
Well, actually, she does wear very cool outfits. So I went to see Haim at Ali Pali. This was in I don't even know. I must have been like 19, so probably 2017. And I was super excited to go see Haim. I was a big fan. And Ali Pali, I don't know if you guys been. Have you been?
I haven't, no.
Is Ali Pali Alexander Palace?
Yes.
No, but I know
that's how you feed out the non-Londoners to me, by calling it that.
I am loud and proud not a Londoner currently.
Oh, you're outnumbered here.
Well, I have to stand up for it because Ronan slipped. Ronan's slipping.
It's true.
Like, he started moaning about the public transport, which is a joke.
I regularly have conversations about which tube I take to get to where, and that's
I've got to uphold the northern standard of having one bus every hour.
It should be your personality, though. It's the best personality to have. It's a great one. Well, okay. Ali Pali is Alexandra Palace for non-Londoners, and it's a really good venue. It's fucking miles away from London. Like, it shouldn't really be in London, but it is. And
like Southend.
No, not quite that far. That actually isn't London.
Class of an airport, though, isn't it? Ridiculous, outrageous.
But basically, it's really big, and it was a palace, so you can imagine it's quite grand and it's very lovely. And concerts there are just kind of majestic, purely because of the architecture and just everything else in the history. And so it's really nice. I went to see Haim, and Maggie was the warm-up act, and I did know her already, but she only had like 2 songs out, so barely anything. So I knew like those 2 songs. One was like Falling Water or something, and then I don't know what the other one was. Yeah, because they were just random songs that I'd saved and liked, but I barely even knew her name. But when it said she was the warm-up, I recognised her, and I was like, oh, I'm sure she'll be good. So me and my friend go to the concert. Basically, I was just completely focused on Haim and completely forgot I even knew who the warm-up was super, super excited for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then she came on and I was like, oh, here we go, right, hopefully this is quick, because we were really at the front as well. And I'm just waiting for Haim, because I'm 3 sisters, so Haim have like, you know, I feel like they're an extension of me and my sisters. Yeah. So I was really relating to them, and I was like, this is going to be great. Who's this woman? Why is she here? And she comes on in this amazing like red cape thing, like I don't know, I can't even remember because it was so long ago. It was like a jumpsuit with a cape, basically. She looked sick, and I was like, okay, I like her. Let's see if she can sing. And she started singing, and it was just a performance at another level. Like I can't even describe it because it was so many years ago, but she was jumping and singing with so much energy that I've never seen a crowd warm up quicker. Like it just took like one song and everybody was warmed up and everybody was dancing. And the friend I was with, I didn't know him very well. And shout out to you, Joel, if he ever listens, because I think he also has a music podcast. So you guys have a rival, but
competitor.
Yeah, exactly. I think he does. Maybe he just has music he puts on Spotify. I don't know. But anyway, he was with me, and I didn't know him that well. So I wasn't really sure what to expect going to a concert with him. And he just started out busting out these great moves and like was dancing like crazy. And I was like, yes, because I hate going to a concert and like no one moves and everybody just stands there. And immediately like he was dancing, I was dancing, everybody was dancing, and no one even like really knew any of her songs.
Yeah, I was going to ask. Like, so the crowd didn't even necessarily like know. That's really impressive as an artist.
I know.
To get the crowd moving to something that they don't.
Exactly.
People are so reluctant to give anything a chance. It feels like warm-up acts in particular. It is a really tough. It's always such a tough crowd. Like people are up for it and they like nod along and they smile back at them and stuff. But a lot of them just give them blank expressions, I feel. Like, I don't know you, I don't know your music. So like to get a whole crowd moving.
And I think everybody's like attention spans are getting shorter. And so now people are much more lazy and like stay at home a lot more now. So I think it genuinely is getting like harder for warm-up acts, at least from what I've seen the last couple of months. Maybe it's just because I'm in the Netherlands now and they're not as dancey. Probably that. But anyway, so everybody was dancing. Yeah, no one knew the songs. I just remember thinking like, I love this woman. Like I need more. I can't believe she's only got 2 songs out. Like I need more of this. And so I made like a list of all the songs that after that first couple of songs, made a list of all the songs that she was singing, so that when they came out, I knew which one was which, because I remembered liking a couple of them, especially I think it was
so she was doing like pre-release renditions of like songs.
Exactly. Well, because she had to sing some stuff, right? But she didn't have any music out. But she'd obviously written this stuff, and I think also sometimes they test, you know, when they're smaller artists, they test good and stuff. And I think it was Dog Years. I don't even know if that made it to the first album, you know. I think it might have just been an EP, but I fell in love with that song, and I was like, she's so good. Like every single new song she releases ever has to be immediately played to me. Like I can't not live without this. And I don't really remember much of the Haim concert. I just remember
Maggie
being
stole the show.
Yeah, and like people were like, "How's Haim?" And I was like, "Who's Haim?" Like I went to see Maggie Rogers, and only then did I go home and like Google her, and then I was like, "Oh shit, she's the Alaska girl," and Alaska is that would have been the other song actually. So I knew Falling Water and I knew Alaska, and then I made the connection of, oh, she's the one that went viral with Pharrell, and that was that. And then I've tried to see her again since, but it got cancelled, and so I've got to wait till June.
But you've been following her ever since, keenly.
Yeah, very, very keenly, like just in love.
That's, I mean, I could imagine Haim almost annoyed if that she had that effect. If that's a recurring theme from that tour, it sounds like she kind of outshone Haim, which boy, I'd be pissed.
I mean,
you want the warm-up act to like they've got to be good so that you don't like, you know, piss off the crowd, but not so good that they you know, show you up a bit.
Yeah,
it's a fine line.
Yeah, and I think the good news is that everybody was dancing after that to their stuff too, and then they even like turned off, like when Haim finished and they went off, they turned on the lights, but the whole entire crowd stayed and danced for like another, I don't know, half an hour, maybe 45 minutes until they switched off the music. Yeah, it was so nice. And the only other time I've had that is at there's a place in, oh my God, I've been out of the UK for too long and I've forgotten the name of it. Kingston. I've forgotten the name of the place, but it does like like if an album's coming out, artists will play there for like the first time as like a preview for people.
Oh,
And it's really
cool.
hard to get tickets, but they're really, really cheap. I've forgotten the name of it. But anyway, and so I went there one time for a Tom Odell thing. And that's the only other time that they've stayed on, but that's deliberate because there it's like a given that they'll stay open till 3.
Yeah, you kind of
so the concert
celebrating the
finishes-
release and
Exactly.
yeah.
And that's the only time I've had it, and that's like planned. So yeah, it was really nice, and everybody stayed and danced around. And Ali Pali's just so gorgeous, just to have the lights on as well, and then be dancing in this basically palace feels like really cool. And they put on like 80s music and stuff, and everyone was singing. And I have more videos of that bit afterwards than I do of the actual show, especially of Haim. So yeah, it was just a really, and I don't think that would have happened at like just any old Haim concert. Maybe it does. Maybe it happens at every Haim concert, but it felt like it was carried through from the energy that she started us off with, if that makes sense. And also, Haim have since gotten way too big and now only play arenas. So fuck that. I don't want to see them at an arena. So I'm quite glad that I found someone who's
you got that intimate venue experience.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is it still small enough to feel kind of a bit more intimate than an arena?
Yeah.
Pally? Because I think I'm actually supposed to be seeing something there this summer.
Ooh.
So this has got me quite excited.
Well, I mean, I don't want you to get your expectations too high, and then
I want to be dancing all night long.
And then be let down.
Yeah, it's falling apart. The paint's all chipped. It's disgusting, really. Yeah, no, it does feel smaller than an arena for sure. Yeah, and it's also not that hard to like see. From what I remember, like I don't think it really matters where you stand. You can still see. I mean, unless you're like 5 foot.
Who might you be seeing there, Ronan?
Forte, I think.
Oh, nice.
I think he's supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to share. Like Hannah bought the tickets, and so I need to actually double check.
Confirm that that's a real thing that's happening.
I'm pretty sure. it is. I'd completely forgotten about it as well until we started talking about this, which is why I'm second guessing myself.
I think I'm potentially seeing Don Broco there as well, which will be good.
Ooh,
Oh, nice.
that'd be really good.
They're three very different vibes. Well, 4. I'll include Haim. I'll be generous. four very different vibes. To be fair, Maggie Rogers, Forte, and Don Broco, and Haim. Yeah, we'll have to report back and
Let me know.
see how we all experienced Ali Pali differently. I'm going to start calling it Ali Pali exclusively now, so I can fit in with the locals.
But I do wonder if it's part of that London thing, because I feel like when you first moved to London, and this was really early on when I was there, I think. Yeah, when you first moved to London, you're kind of in this like euphoria, kind of like, oh my God, I'm in London, like big city. Especially when I was 19, like I still had emotions and stuff then. So like, like, I was happy. So,
Remember them?
Yeah. Remember dopamine? Isn't that so nice? Yeah, so I think I was quite happy then, and I think London was just like this really big cool place. So I think Ali Pali was part of that for me, and it's also this venue that I'd heard about for years, and I knew it from my dad, and because he grew up really near Ali Pali. So like, yeah, I think maybe it might be that. So don't get too excited, Lou. Please calm down.
Yeah. We'll both temper our expectations, but
Exactly.
but also have some mild
Sky high expectations.
Allow ourselves that. Yeah.
I know when you were trying to pick the music as well, something you mentioned to me is that you're not usually like an album listener person. You prefer playlist kind of stuff.
I was so mad at you.
I'm forcing you to pick. I just wondered, like, in terms of Surrender, is this one that you would listen to as an album experience, or is it one that you'd split apart and put some songs in like different kind of playlist vibes and stuff? Because obviously you mentioned that Begging for Rain, for example, is a slower one, whereas there's a lot of quite kind of bombastic, like poppy bangers on this album. Yeah, I know. Search that one out. But I just wondered, like, do you come to this one as an album, or do you find yourself kind of separating it off into different like energies?
I think so. You're right. I don't listen to music by album, but because she's my favorite and I knew it was going to be good, I did the first time on the train, and I did listen to it in order, like as the artist should, like would want you to, kind of thing, on the train in one go, because I had the time as well, right? So I had the full block of time. I don't know how long.
I think that's a big aspect of it, to be fair. Yeah. You got to put aside the 46 minutes and 21 seconds, or however long it's going to be.
Exactly, because I concentrated that first time and listened to it, and yes, I was rushing a bit and missed some of the slower songs, but because I did that, it's way easier to listen to it now as an album. And if I listen to one song, I kind of make myself listen to another song. But I don't listen to it in order, and I don't necessarily listen to all the songs. So I tend to put it on shuffle and then skip a couple of songs or take them out. Yeah, skip horses basically and take it out of the queue. And but also I put it in my own order. So I think I have my own order of the album, which is the order that like I listen to it in.
That's an interesting idea. Without giving like the full track list, like what dictates your order? Like, as in, so is it that you do it so that it slowly rises to like more upbeat songs or something, or like what's the reason the reshape?
I think it's two things. I think I start the opposite to what you said. So I start with the like bigger, faster ones, like Be Cool and Want One. I don't know, maybe like Shatter, and then I go to like the slower ones after that. And I think that's for two reasons. I think usually I put her on when I need to like, or this album at least the last couple of months, I put it on when I need like an energy boost, like when I'm about to do something, and I need to like really hype myself up or get some energy or just feel a bit, I'm having a slow day at work or whatever. So it really gives me that energy back. And then it's okay if the slower songs are at the end, because I'm calming down again and getting to like a good level, like a more balanced level. But it's also because I like to sing in the shower. And so I have like Be Cool, Shatter, and what was the other one? Oh, Want One. If I do those three in the order I said the first time, that's a perfect shower. And then if I add on like a couple of extra ones, that's because I need to like properly condition my hair.
I need a long shower. Yeah,
like I have to like paint my nails or something. Like, it's twofold, because those three are really, really good ones to sing along to, because you can just kind of belt them out in the shower, and you don't want a slow song in the shower because that's just going to piss off your neighbors. They're going to be like, why is she like whining in the shower? So you need ones that have a bit of a beat.
I know. I just love that. That idea of sort of having your own kind of
like version of the album, basically.
Yeah. It's like remixing the album for your own kind of like.
It's like a mixtape.
Taste a little bit.
Yes, but just not.
But out,
just one artist.
Out of just
and one
album.
And one album. Yeah.
So nothing like a mixtape.
Slightly restricted, a restricted mixtape. Somewhat.
Yeah.
It's like the Ellie cut. Essentially, like the Ellie listening order.
Yeah.
Narrate that.
Be like, hi Maggie, I think this order is better. X, Y, Z reasons. I've gotten 500.
I've taken Horses off the album.
Horses has gone on to your 2B album, which you don't refer to as the full 2 album or whatever. It's good. It's nice to have your own version of it, though. I think then you very clearly know your favorites. Whether that's because you forced yourself to listen to them first 15 times, or because they just are your favorites, so that's why you want to put them on as soon as possible.
I imagine that means that when you come back to it, and like for us, you had to listen to it. I don't know. Did you listen to when you listened to it again for us? Did you listen to it again in like the order it is? And did it just feel wrong?
It was a nightmare. I listened. No, I tried. And then I think Be Cool is like the second song on the album. It's quite. Wait, no, maybe it isn't. Let me look.
Be Cool's number 6.
Yeah, it's quite far down. Yeah. Basically,
you're like, where is it?
I think I put it on shuffle or something like that. I don't know. I think I started with Overdrive, and then I immediately went to Be Cool like halfway through the song, and skipped Overdrive, went straight to Be Cool, and then kept trying to do it again and again, like different days and different moments in time this week, and just kept playing Be Cool like 12 times, and I just couldn't get past it. And I was like, Ellie, you really need to like listen to the other songs. So yeah, I definitely didn't listen to it in my own order or the set list order, like the actual list order.
You just listened to it in a mess of.
Yeah, it was a complete mess. Like some songs I listened to 12 times, some about 2. Horses, I don't think I actually did listen to. So no, I did. No, that's not true. I did listen to it once and remembered why I don't like it, but it's fine. No, I like the lyrics. I just don't love the melody on that one.
Yeah, fair enough.
Basically, I decided I'd write my favorites and then ended up rewriting the album in the order that I prefer in. So I had to cut a few. But I think if I narrow it down to 5, which is not narrowing it down very much, is Be Cool is number 1. I think it's a tie for number 2, depending on what mood I'm in. But it would be Begging for Rain or I've Got a Friend. And then it's Shatter, and then it's Honey, I think. But then I also really like Anywhere with You, and also Symphony. So, you can't win. But Be Cool is a very, very clear favourite.
Yeah, I think that's often the case. Is like, I know when we've done albums and stuff, like having to choose your top 5. You go through and you're like, oh, I love this one, I love this one. And then you get to the point where you're like, oh, but I also love it. Come on, just sneak this one.
Yeah, because you don't want to miss it out. Because I'm sharing this with you guys, and I don't want you guys to not I don't want those songs to not get the credit that they deserve, and then you guys not listen to them. I know you've listened to the whole thing, but like.
No, you're right though, because it does make you go back to it with a kind of new context when you hear somebody's favorites, and you're like, oh, I need to particularly listen out for that, or like, or you just start to accept, oh, this is the particularly good one, or whatever.
Or you listen to it and you're like, oh my god, that's so them. Like, I totally.
Did you do that with this, Louis?
I was like, this is a very Ellie album, yeah.
Because when you were going to ask me like why do you like this album, I was so close to writing it's just an Ellie album. Like it's just like it sounds like me.
It has that intangible aspect to it. Yeah.
I just feel like myself, they should really call the album Ellie instead of Surrender.
Was this your first time listening to it, Ronan?
It was, yeah. So other than that one song that she blew up for playing to Pharrell, I don't think I'd listened to any Maggie Rogers actually. But yeah, really enjoyed it. Are we doing favorite songs right now? Is that what like? Are we,
yeah, I mean we can just jump into favorite songs or like any aspects of the album that you particularly enjoyed. Yeah.
Well, like I was just gonna. I mean, we've already mentioned "Begging for Rain." Well, we've mentioned the sort of couplet of "Begging for Rain" and "I've Got a Friend" and my sort of staring out the train window moment. But I've Got a Friend also had my favourite line from the album, which is, "Oh, I've got a friend who's been there through it all, masturbates to Rob Pattinson, staring at the wall." Which actually, I mean, on one level, it's just I kind of like any line like that just suddenly makes me have to skip back and go, did I hear that line correctly?
Yeah.
So I'm fully a sucker for just those sort of moments. So there's an element of that, but I also think that it's a really kind of evocative line about a sort of like adolescent ennui. Like that sounds like a real like pretentious way to describe it, but like there's something kind of mundane and just a bit like sad about it. I mean, masturbates to Rob Pattinson staring at the wall, like but also very real. Like I am sure that that is a defining feature of the 2010s for many a person. So it's kind of like
on the 2020s. Come on, stop.
Have you seen him in Batman?
So I don't know. Yeah, I just thought that's a killer line. Like, so I have to bring attention to that. And I love that track actually. I love the like sort of playful little bits on like, is it a piano or what? I don't know, but like the little instrumental parts after, in between her singing. And it sounds like a bit of some messing around. And then there's like little audio clips of her and a mate or whatever.
Yeah, there's a lot of layering of like samples in all of the production on these tracks. Yeah. Like when you actually like lend your ear, I know it's tricky to do because obviously her voice like dominates the tracks and she's got really good like lyricism and a really beautiful voice. But if you try and like ignore it to an extent and try and listen past it, like listen deeper, like the production is like very, very deep, very like layered, lots of little, like you say, little instrumentation that you can't quite tell what it is. Like, oh, is that like a little playful piano or is like what? And like you say, then there's all these little like layered voice clips and it just kind of builds this like really rich background to like for the melodies and stuff. It's really lovely. Yeah, it
also feels really intentional though, like everything that's in there.
Everything is very thoughtfully placed.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and it's so nice. And also on the I've Got a Friend, you mentioned like, oh, you can hear it with other people and stuff in some of the recordings and things. That's actually so the song's about Clairo. Do you know the artist Clairo?
Oh yeah,
Clairo. I don't know how you say it. Yeah. Because her name's Claire. I think that's where her artist name came from. And I think she mentions it in the song Claire, or she says it at the end or something. And so it's actually about another artist who I was supposed to go see a couple of weeks ago, but well, I wasn't supposed to. I wanted to go see her a few weeks ago and then I ended up being on holiday, so I couldn't go. But she's also a really, really great artist. And yeah, they're friends in real life. And I think the bit you mentioned where they're messing around with different sounds and stuff is literally them because they're both really great artists. I think it's literally them just in the recording studio like messing around with stuff, and it's really nice that comes through.
That's really interesting. It kind of adds to that sense of like, which is what it feels. The track feels kind of playful, a little bit tongue-in-cheek, and with that context as well, it feels like it very much is probably full of little in-jokes. And so even like that line that like we were talking about just before, no need to repeat it, just because I know that my parents listen to this. But like now that makes me think that's probably some kind of an in-joke between them. Like it sounds very kind of plausible.
Oh yeah, I wonder if Clara is going to call out what Maggie masturbates looking at the wall too. If it's going to be a little bit of a temp attack.
Also, Rob Pattinson. God, come on, guys. Have you not seen that man recently?
Well, can't
He's
blame
still
him.
great looking. Like, that man has aged well.
He's actually a class actor as well and everything. But anyway, this
Who
isn't
cares
Rob
about that?
This has now
Pattinson's.
become the Robert Pattinson fan club podcast. That's your new spin-off this week, Ronan.
Yeah. Yes, we needed a new spin-off. That's good. Okay, good.
I also like that line because she doesn't, in her first album, she didn't use very many like swear words and things, and she wasn't, I know it's not really a swear word, but there weren't very many adult themes, put it that way. And in this album,
Sure. Yeah.
she definitely like found her sexuality and found her, I don't know, it feels a bit more real, this one. It feels like she's really talking about raw stuff, whereas in the other one it was also abstract and there was a lot of metaphors, and I didn't always understand what I was singing about. And whereas when I sing along to this one, I know exactly
what you mean. It feels like a very like confident and secure album.
Oh yeah.
Like she knows what she wants to say. She knows the way it's been delivered is gonna sound great. Like there's, like you say, there's none of this kind of like tap dancing around any problems or issues or ideas or themes. It's literally just like she's just confident in her own presentation of her own work, and it like really shines through on like every single track.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's always a bonus as well, isn't it, when an album can't be easily packaged for like middle American Christians. And so I feel like that's the way you're describing it. It feels like that first album almost maybe could do, and not to say that detracts from an album. Like middle American Christians need
music too
as well. It can take away from the cool factor sometimes.
Yeah. It has a bit more edge, a bit more
edge,
substance, a little bit more substance. It's a heartier album.
I mean, it gets deeper though, because my other fun fact about this album is that, well, do you know why it's called Surrender?
No.
Okay, give me 1 sec, because
no.
I'm going to check that I didn't put this in the quiz. Okay, I didn't. So basically, she went to Harvard recently to do her master's, and her master's thesis was titled Surrender, Cultural Consciousness, the Spirituality of Public Gatherings, and the Ethics of Power in Pop Culture.
Wow.
So that was her master's thesis at Harvard, I think just before she made this album. So earlier, Louis, when you said, was it a pandemic album? It was actually a Harvard album. It was her like year at Harvard album, and that's why it's called Surrender, because it is, a fun bit from her thesis. So she's very, very smart.
That sounds fascinating, actually. It sounds like actually just having to brought up kind of religion. I can't remember whether we've kind of talked about this on the podcast before, but I always find quite fascinating this sort of, like, I mean, spiritual is one of these really vague words, but the sort of spiritual nature to a lot of music. And I think people kind of intuitively get that. And obviously there's very obvious examples like, more religious music, like gospel music or whatever. But also, like, it extends well beyond that. That almost sounds like that's what she's talking about, that kind of communal experience of like going to a gig or whatever. And like, I'm guessing it's like surrendering yourself to that experience and all that kind of thing. I find all of that concept very interesting. I'm sure it's one we can explore more some other time. I don't think we need another tangent right now. But interesting to know that she's kind of talked about it. More than that, wrote a whole dissertation on it. There's
the whole, in yoga, like you surrender yourself, and meditation, like you do surrender yourself to just be fully in the moment. And I think that's what it is about the concert. And that's it's funny because it's literally how I felt at her concert. Like I was just completely addicted to this woman the second I saw her. And I think that's because she's so good and so well practiced and so intentional with making sure she engages you. And I mean, that's why I'm so excited for her next gig, because she was already good at it. Now she's written a whole fucking thesis on it. So now imagine how good she's going to be at it next time. Do you know what I mean? Like, she's going to be amazing.
You got to love somebody that can do the theory and the practice. That's quite something. That's actually quite a rare thing.
Well, actually, a performance was part of her dissertation as well. It was graded.
Oh, wow.
So a big performance as well. I think it was, I don't know if it was Coachella or something, but it was a huge one. Like it was a really big concert that was included. I think I may be completely bullshitting this because it was a while ago, but I think it was part of, like, graded as part of her masters. So that, I mean, it's really taken it to the extreme.
Wow, yeah.
I haven't really mentioned it very much, but I really loved Symphony, and there's some good lines in that. And so there's one where she's like, I can be a lot to handle, but I'm working on it with a therapist, and you like keep coming back to me even though I keep pushing you away. Oh, and then she also says, like, that's not something I mean to do, it's just something that comes off that way. And that one got me. Like, I only listened to that song again because my sister put it as one of her favorites. So it was a slow one. I'd kind of skipped through it, and then I listened to it again, and I heard that bit, and I was just like, oh my God, my heart, like that hurts, because I just think it's really relatable. I said earlier with the album choices, I'm a huge overthinker, and I've been told too many times to count that I'm a lot to handle. And so when she said that, I was like, oh my God, she's me. And it was just a really nice moment where I felt like, but it's okay, you know, like it's fine. People do feel like this, people do feel like they're a lot, but you always find that person who can deal, those people that can deal with it. And I think this whole album was really like friends and family driven, which I don't think you get a lot with music. Like, it's usually about a romantic partner, and this song was really like, I love my friends look after me. There's not so much about family, but for me, I associate friends with my sisters, so it's still family to me. So like, and also the fact that my sister loves this album makes it even better. And so I just really liked that. And I was like, yeah, I can be a twat to my sister and she's still going to come back, you know, like we're still going to talk. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, that we don't speak anymore.
So what you're saying is this is like the Frozen of music.
I hate you.
That is pretty much, that's the gist of Frozen.
No. We're going to have to do this all again now because you've clearly not been like listening properly to the music. And
I just like that not only did Maggie steal the show from Haim, but she's also stolen the theme of sisterhood from Haim as well.
Oh yeah, true. I hadn't thought of that. That's so true.
Haim is now redundant.
Really true. Yeah. Sorry, Han.
So they're really going to be pissed off now.
They're going to sue. Like, you guys are fucked. Also, I keep swearing, and now I'm aware that Ronan's parents listen. I'm really conscious of my swearing. So.
Yeah, it's all right. We gave up on trying to curtail that.
Maybe we can add another drinking game element. Every time
every time we swear.
We swear, take a shot. Yeah.
And I just love that it's all about like, I love my friends and everybody's lovely and feels really optimistic and oh God. And I think Anywhere With You broke me into like a million pieces. It's not necessarily one of my favorites, but it's just so raw, and I wasn't expecting it from her because, as I said, she usually does a lot of like metaphors and stuff. I don't really know what I'm singing about, so it was nice to have some real feelings. And I'm not necessarily super romantic, and Symphony and Anywhere With You killed me. Like, I was like, oh my God, I gotta go tell my boyfriend that I love him. Like this is ooh, gross. I'll be sick afterwards, but I'm gonna go do it anyway. So it was nice.
Anywhere With You is definitely a bit of a road trip song as well, a bit of a train song.
Yeah, you can really stare out a window and get lost with that one.
But with someone else as well, which is nice. That's a duo road trip song to an extent. I like the line in that one as well, that the one that she's talking about saying like, oh, there's something on the radio. It's like the song I'm supposed to know by some fucking bro. Yeah. I was like, yeah, I like that.
That's a good bit. Okay, quiz.
Yeah, get the sting in, Louis.
All right. Well, I'll just first of all just say thank you very much for picking this album and introducing it to us, Ellie. It's really good, really enjoyable listen.
Did you like it, Louis? We didn't ask you.
I did. I did like it very much. I think people can pick up on the context clues of me talking about how good the production was and how beautiful the voice was.
But maybe you're just so professional, you know what to say by now, even when you don't like it.
I am far from a professional. It's okay. We're not quite there yet.
I've got to say that I appreciate the fact that now we do have, like I was saying to Louis, like we're sort of really compensating or trying to compensate in the last couple of episodes for not having had any female artists whatsoever. It's like bit by bit we're gonna make it up, but now it just looks a bit desperate because we've done 2 in a row.
I also just love when I told Louis, he was like, yeah, we do. No, we don't. No, we.
I was like, we must.
You were so sure as well.
Yeah, I was like, oh wait, no. I was like, we have had some female voices on it.
But when I did Tricky, I remember explicitly picking Tricky and like trying to make a big thing out of Martina because I'd become aware that we were like really male focused. But really, all I felt like was when I remember going around looking at universities and like going to, I think it was like Durham, and like the philosophy department there, it was 2 men stood up at the front, and then they were like, oh, and we're aware that like that a lot of people complain that it's all about old stuffy white men, and Well, at the moment it sort of is, but we're doing our best to change that. But they gave no examples of how they were changing it. It was just these two old white men.
We're aware we're sexist, and we've decided to do nothing about it. You're welcome.
Yeah, pretty much.
We've put a pin in it. We've put a pin in it. We'll come back to it. We'll come back round to
Hey,
it.
well, if you need me on again, I've got loads more women I could talk about.
Well, yeah, we have to get a lot on to to make up for lost time, to be honest. But yeah, so much appreciated is the gist of that.
Yeah, long and the short. But...
Good, because I feel like I really betrayed Billy Joel, and I was watching him live, and I was like, I'm so sorry. Like, I need to apologize to you. You should be the person I'm talking about, but I don't have one album, and you're not a woman. So, and Darwin Dees as well, because I feel like he could do with the awareness, to be honest.
Is he the big ups for the episode? Shout out Darwin Dees.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can have bonus recommendations. That's
Well, I just feel like you need them because it feels so like such a shame that I just didn't pick them because they were men, but
so you're the sexist.
I've just because I don't know whether Billy Joel will ever end up on the podcast. I've got a quick Billy Joel fact. It was not really a fact, but
Billy Joel will end up on this podcast. Don't you worry about that. But go.
I used to there was this family that we used to meet up with on holiday. Like, have you ever had that where you just like meet a family on holiday one time and they happen to be there when you go back the next year? Anyway, they were one of these families, but the two kids were called Billy and Joel. They named their kids Billy and Joel.
I just love it.
Incredible.
I can't get over that.
Are they both boys?
Yeah, both boys.
Okay, that's more acceptable.
Yeah, I'd love if they were so committed to it. It's just like, well, we've already named one Billy.
No.
Exactly.
It's time for the quiz. Do. There we go.
I was trying so hard not to laugh. I should have muted myself. I forgot that button. You're just going to hear really heavy breathing in the background of that a little bit. Okay.
Have you got some juicy questions lined up for us, Ellie?
I do. I didn't test them on anyone, and I regret that because they could either be too easy or too hard. So let's see how we
perfect. I feel like we always go in untested,
go. Who's winning, by the way? What's the
I
scores
haven't
on the
counted
door?
it up overall yet.
Oh, I wanted to make this really competitive. Okay.
It's always
Say
competitive.
it's close. It's close, yeah.
Okay, so question number 1. Okay, so I mentioned that her thesis was called Surrender, Cultural Consciousness, the Spirituality of Public Gatherings, and the Ethics of Power in Pop Culture. And that's
I hope that the question isn't to just tell you what her thesis is called, because I'm forgetting it as you say it.
I considered it. It's so long. I was like, really, they need to see it, not hear it, but never mind. Anyway, so that's why the album's called Surrender. But what was Maggie's master's in? And it's multiple choice. Okay, so A, Spirituality and Ethics of Power. B, Religion and Popular Culture. C, Religion and Public Life. Do you need me to say the thesis title again?
No, I just need to hear the options again. So, not gonna lie, I thought I knew this because earlier when I was looking up photos of Maggie Rogers when you were talking about her dress sense, I saw something about divinity, but that wasn't any of the options.
No. Well, the thing is, the school of Harvard that she went to was Harvard Divinity School.
Ooh.
So, bollocks. Okay, I was getting really excited. I thought I knew the answer to this one. But, okay, right, you're gonna have to repeat them again because
Spirituality and Ethics of Power, Religion and Popular Culture, or Religion and Public Life.
Would you like to lock in first, Ronan, or shall I lock in?
Yeah, I can lock in. Like, I'm gonna go. Well, you can go first if you want, but I don't mind going first.
I'm gonna lock in. All right. Okay.
That was so all over the place. No, I don't mind. You do it. You do it.
You do it. I'm going A. Well, I'm going B.
Okay, ready? Do you want to do a drum roll, Louis?
That doesn't sound very drummy, actually.
I don't know if the mic will even pick me up doing it.
It's okay. It was ready. It was C, Religion and Public Life.
Bollocks.
You're both wrong. But I thought it was kind of easy because I talked about like with the audiences, like the public bit. I don't know. Never mind. You tried.
Yeah.
Okay, number 2. One of the songs is called Begging for Rain. Which of the following cities has the most rainfall per year? Is it A, Amsterdam, where I am, B, London, where Ronan is, or C, York, where Louis is?
I think I'm going to go... Or do you want to go first? Because I went first last time.
I'm going to go see York before Ronan just cuts me off.
I'm going to go for A, Amsterdam.
Okay, and the answer is A, Amsterdam.
Fuck.
Hey.
Ronan. Woo!
But I'm
So
in
if
the
you want the
north.
numbers, Amsterdam has 850 millilitres, London has 615, and York has 635.
Only slightly. Wow, fair enough.
No, I don't know. It's quite a way off Amsterdam. York.
Yeah, no,
But
I mean,
London and
I
York
was
are quite
surprised that
close.
York. I was surprised that York only has slightly more than London.
Yeah.
That surprised me. I guess we're not the wrong side of the Pennines, isn't it?
But London has a terrible rep for being really rainy, and Amsterdam doesn't. And outside of the UK, everyone's like, "Oh, London's always grey and rainy."
Yeah.
And I don't think it is. And here, I think it rains a lot. And everyone's like, "But you're from London, where it rains more." And I'm like, "No, it doesn't."
Oh, you can now
literally have
fact
the
check them.
numbers.
You can give them some milliliters.
Google says no. Okay, question number 3.
So Ronan's 1-0 up at the minute.
Mhm.
I'm stating that out loud for when I come back to count the scores in the future.
Ronan 1, Louis 0. Did you hear that? Do you need that one again? Louis 0. Louis losing.
Yeah, I've got that. Not for long.
Louis rubbish. Okay. Question number 3. What is the name of Maggie's ongoing tour of the album Surrender? Is it A, Rebirth, B, Wild Beginnings, or C, Feral Joy?
I know
Do you
this
need them
one.
again? Oh, you do?
I know this
Damn.
one.
I
Yeah.
wondered
Okay,
if
in
you
which
knew
case
it,
I'll
know
have to go first. I'm gonna go for C.
Okay,
You son of a
Louis.
bitch, it is C.
Yeah, it's C.
Oh yeah.
No.
Okay, so just to clarify, well, firstly, Louis, how did you know it was that one?
When I looked up the album for some earlier
so.
context today, one of it was like, oh, and she described how performing it or something. She was describing something as Feral Joy, and then it was like, and that consequently went on to be her live. And I was like, that's a great name for a live show. It stuck with me
But
because I was
that's
like,
the
that is a banging name for a
This
live.
is the thing, it was such a good name that it was really hard to think of equally good options for you guys to guess from. I was sat there last night with like synonym thing on Google trying to like do synonyms for feral and joy. Okay. Okay, so sorry, scores again. Louis 0.
I've got 1. Actually, it's 2-1. I got because I said Feral Joy. I got C.
Yeah, Louis said it as well.
Went first, though.
Oh no, I only went first.
No,
because
come on.
We knew the answer.
Yeah.
Surely you should have gone second so you could copy him. You should have been quiet, Ronan. Okay, fine. Louis has 1. Ronan has 2.
Yeah.
But Louis is still losing.
Yeah.
And just
Thanks
in case you need it again for recording, Louis is still losing.
But overall, we don't know yet. So all to play for.
Okay. Well, final question then. What do we do if it's a tie break?
You have to just Google a tiebreaker really quick.
Oh, shit. Okay. Number 4. Which state in America is Maggie from? Is it A, Alaska, B, Maine, or C, Oregon?
Oh, this feels like it should be I feel like the Alaska thing's a trick question, but like or trick answer.
Do you want me to answer first?
Yeah,
or do you want...
That depends if you know the answer or not, Louis. And then
I don't know the answer, but I've got an answer, but I don't know.
Yeah, I know what I'm gonna go for as well. So yeah, I don't mind if you.
Well, I'm gonna
say them
go
at the same time. Ready? Wait. Say them at the same time. 3, 2, 1.
Okay.
B, Maine.
Oh yeah.
Okay, are you ready for the answer? You're right, it's Maine. Well done.
Hey.
Was I not very good at writing the alternative answers?
No, I was very tempted. I was going to do Alaska. You know what it is? I like Maine's like northeast coast, isn't it? And I feel like if she's gone to Harvard in that, not to like stereotype, but it's full of like people from Northeast America.
Bloody hell.
Like,
you applied logic. I just went, I'll go for the middle answer.
Actually, Louis, that was the smart thing to do though, because I hadn't done the middle answer for any of the others. I had thought
Again,
about that as
you're
well.
giving me too much credit. Didn't apply that much logic. I just went. I was just gonna go. I'm going for B. I was like, I'm going for B, wherever B is.
I'm like, Louis, B isn't a state. Isn't it? Well done. So Ronan won. Woo!
Yep, 3-2 at the end of that one.
Just to be clear, Louis lost.
Yeah,
Louis was bad at the quiz. Louis sucks. Thanks for having me on the podcast. We can end that. No.
well, I mean, yeah, we'll do the wrap up there. I guess we'll end on that sour note.
Oh no, that's too mean. No. We love Louis. We just temporarily didn't like him for a few months of the year 6 because he made me pick between albums and artists, and it was really, really cruel and basically illegal. And the fact I'm not getting paid, at least in compensation, is ridiculous.
It's paid off. It's paid off
For a really good episode.
It's not, because every time I've played Darwin this week, I've felt so guilty. I'm like, I'm so sorry, Darwin. I know you needed this.
It's all right. There'll be other opportunities in the future, I'm sure. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Ellie, and thank you for making the noble sacrifice of choosing one artist, one album.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're not getting a Christmas present, though.
I'll take it. Thank you all very much for listening. You can find us on your favourite platform, whether that's Spotify, Apple, Amazon, YouTube, SoundCloud, or elsewhere. If you enjoyed and if you'd like to drop us a rating, I think it potentially helps the podcast to grow or spread or something. I don't really know, to be fair, but either way, if you're so inclined, you can, I don't know, give us a lovely 5-star rating, or maybe share with a friend or an enemy. Up to you.
I rated it 5 stars the other day.
Oh,
How do I do this?
Cheating, but
I feel like you should tell
on
me.
Spotify, if you go on like the podcast page, there's like a rating button.
What's the name of the podcast again? No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
You can find us on Instagram, where you can follow us to be notified of new episode releases, and you can contact us there if you so desired. Alternatively, you can email us at moreofsomethingelseentirely@gmail.com, and as usual, all the links and things will be in the episode description. So that's everything. Thank you both very much for joining me. Thanks as always, Ronan, for being a great co-host, and thank you for being a great guest, Ellie.
Thank you for having me.
When I 5-starred the podcast the other day, I did feel there's a bit in, like, I don't know whether you guys watch we listened to Flight of the Conchords, didn't we, Louis? I think.
Yeah, New Zealand.
There's a bit in Flight of the Conchords where they're trying to develop their fan base, which consists of their one obsessive fan and Jermaine, who's in the band, and they can't get Brett, the other band member, to join because he doesn't actually like the band.
Yeah, that's very much the energy. When we're listening back to our own episodes and then giving it a 5-star rating, like, yeah, this is quality content.
But the heart is also heavy.